Hey everyone, this is Matt from End Sickness. Today I'm going to talk about how fear reinforces chronic illness symptoms. This will be a brief video, straight to the point. You can see my shirt's repping here, faith over fear. Number one thing you got to remember when you're dealing with fear is that most of the time these things are in the future. They are not guaranteed, or they're based on past events, past trauma that isn't guaranteed to replicate itself in the future. The thing about fear is it affects your manifestations. When you have fears, you're projecting this astral projection out into the atmosphere, and you're bringing these things closer to you by thinking about them. People think that they're protecting themselves with their fears by thinking ahead of time and what they're going to do in that situation. But the reality is, by thinking ahead of time, they're drawing themselves closer to the event that they're fearing. And in addition, when they actually end up there in that situation where they're in the moment where they feared, then they'll be paralyzed because they already played it out in their mind, and it's just this self-fulfilling prophecy. Now here we go, I knew my fear was right, I knew this would happen, and then it reinforces the fear cycle over and over again. So the idea is you want to replace fear with faith, okay? If you are dealing with a chronic illness, often you'll be stuck in the discussion internally of why me? Why does this have to happen to me? Why me, right? And at the end of the day, it's not it's happening to you, it's happening for you, okay? There's some benefit that's going to come out of this chronic illness. It's not simply about just getting sick, taking some pills and getting better. I know you want it to be, but there has to be a lesson that you learn through this. There has to be an evolution of mind, body, and spirit. This is the challenge that life is putting you through. It's a calling from your higher power to be able to draw you closer to your higher self, okay? Reframe this illness as something that could benefit you. Look for the benefits within it. When you get caught in fear, ask yourself, is this guaranteed, this fear? Is this necessary to think about because I have to deal with it in the next 10 minutes? No, it's not guaranteed. No, it's not necessary to think about. Almost all fear is based on the future, right? And the idea that this future event could happen, and this future event would be extremely detrimental if it happened, and that is all based upon, those fears are all based upon past experience, okay? Past experience is not relevant with future results. If you knew based on your past experience what to do, then you'd be a billionaire. If you were always right predicting the future, and you were able to have these prophecies of the future, then you would not be in the situation you're in right now. You'd have everything you want. You wouldn't be watching this video, right? So your fears are usually based upon these past traumas that are not dealt with, things that happen that you did not ever cope with or accept, that you keep being reminded of through your fears subconsciously. So for example, my dad left when I was young. I was in a place where I felt very alone most of my life. I would continue to see that around me. I would always want to be with someone, because when I was alone, I felt too alone. And I had to be watching TV, I had to be doing something, because when I was alone, I was reminded of the feeling of feeling alone from my childhood, more than likely. And that's why I kept clinging to the next person, the next situation, the next thing, so I didn't have to feel that alone feeling I felt like when I was a childhood. So, these things from childhood, these traumas from way back, they can play out in the future. My illness, when I was sick, when I got better, I would still see reminders of things that reminded me of when I was sick, and they would take me back there, These things, these unaddressed traumas, you'll be reminded of them, okay? But you have to be able to be reminded of them and allow them to remain in the past, not project this past event into the future in the form of a fear, in believing that it's going to happen again because it happened last time. That is how you relive your past over and over again. That's how you are unable to break the chronic illness cycle. That's how you end up just in the same self-destructive, self-sabotage patterns that led you into the chronic illness. I know people don't want to believe it like I didn't, but your choices along the way had a lot to do with getting you into the situation you're in currently. That should tell you that you have the ability to make choices to get you out of it too. It's not all about something outside of you that you're the victim of. Oh, this doctor, oh, this antibiotic, oh, this thing. If it caused me damage and now I'm damaged by this thing. That does no good for you in the recovery process. This does not make your brain believe recovery is possible. You have to be able to create a story that ends up leaning real heavy on faith. You're going to get better. That things are already moving in the right direction. It's all up to you and the decisions you make. It's not about finding some mystical supplement out of there, or finding some doctor who's going to fix it all. It's about making the right decisions consistently with your diet, identifying the irritants in your environment, identifying the irritants in your emotional and stress situations, and making changes in the places you have control over first, and then focusing on the external things like supplements, getting meditation, deep breathing in there, connecting with your higher power, doing things that you love and enjoy, not dwelling in the fear and the fear of what could be and the fear of what was, you know, and these thoughts of just being stuck in things other than your present reality. You're not in fear typically when you're in the present moment. The enemy of fear is being in the present moment in faith. You got to lean on presence and faith when you're overcoming fear. So I'll have plenty more videos about this. I was stuck in fear almost all my life. You know, I'm believing that these things in the future were relevant to think about when they really weren't, and they were just impairing my health, impairing my ability to feel safe. I always felt danger around me everywhere, and it was affecting the way I was feeling. And my symptoms were getting worse, and it was affecting my sleep, and it was affecting my faith and all the things that mattered when it came to healing. So thanks for watching, everybody. Join my page and visit my website at endsickness.org.